Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name is Emma LaFave, and today we are going to be painting some beautiful fall trees. So let's jump in and get started. Okay, so today I wanted to paint some fall trees. I love trees, love painting trees. You guys know this about me. I've done it so many times, but I just wanted to focus on painting some fall trees today. And I wanted to try it with my stroke brushes from Princeton. If you like this brush, keep an eye out. I may be working on something special with Craftimo in the near future with this shape and sizes, maybe. Just a little hint, just stay tuned. But yeah, so I wanted to give these a try because it gives a bit more of like this edgier kind of geometric shape rather than a pointed regular round brush, which I also obviously love pointed round brushes. But sometimes it's just really nice to change up the brush shape. So I wanted to try to paint some trees today and just kind of play around. So I'm going to start by just wetting my brush. I'm going to grab all the orange that's in this, just mix it up, see what color I have. This rusty color because I had green in there and now I have brown. I'm going to grab some yellow. I'm going to grab some orange. And I'm just going to kind of play around with the shape. So I'm going to put my brush on its side. By the way, I'm using my Paul Rubens watercolors and my Paul Rubens sketchbook for right now. And I'm going to put the brush on its side and I'm just going to kind of dab. And I just feel like it creates this like a bit more structured kind of realistic look. And I'm just going to dab. It's like so effortless. And I'm just going to create the shape of this tree. I'm going to try and leave some white space in there, but not too much this time. You can do this so many ways and there's no right or wrong way to paint a tree. And I want you to think kind of like a cone shape, like a rounded cone shape for this tree. Okay, so I'm just kind of filling it in. And we're going to drop some more color in a little bit. And we're going to add some little leaves to the outer edges. But I just kind of want to get this shape down. See how it's kind of like this rounded cone? And I want to keep it wet because I'm going to add some color in there. I love this color, or this brush for leaves. I think it's like absolutely perfect. Okay. Like so. Then I'm going to grab some more orange, a little bit of that brown that's in there, and I'm just going to start kind of tossing it in there, let it bleed, let it do its thing. I'm going to leave some highlighted areas, so some lighter parts. I don't want the whole thing this kind of orange. Like this. And it actually should be lighter closer to the top and then maybe on one side. So even if you want to grab a little bit more yellow, and lighten it a bit at the top. Brighten it up towards that one side. And then you can grab a bit more brown. And then tap kind of the underside. Like pick a couple sections, and that's where some of the shadows will be. Then you can even grab some more brown. So I'm just going to grab some burnt sienna. And we can deepen that brown a little bit more. Like, look how pretty this tree is already. I love it. Okay. All right. Then I think I want to do another one. Let's make another one a little bit more red though. So I'm going to grab just a little bit of red, just mix it in here with my orange. We're going to start off with a light wash. Part of me wants to let this dry though so they don't blend or bleed into each other. I wonder if I should do that. I'm going to let this one dry first, I think. Okay, now it's dry. I want to do like an orangey red one, and I don't want them to bleed into each other. I want them to be separate, but I kind of want to like go around this tree so it looks like it's just really, I don't know, like one is behind the other. Okay, so I'm just kind of going around the outline like that. And then I'm going to do the same kind of shape. I'm going to fill it in. You can even grab a little bit more yellow again, like just making it a little bit lighter on one side. We can even go in some of those little white areas where there was white space and fill it in. And it just kind of makes this tree stand out a little bit more. We're just dabbing. And I don't want it to be completely symmetrical. Like these trees, there can be like little gaps where we can do, like I'm going to leave some white space here and there could be like a branch kind of coming up. I'm just dabbing. Again, making sure it's still quite wet. Grabbing a bit more yellow. I'm going to try and go in between here. Like that. Okay, now I'm going to grab my darker or more red. I'm going to start kind of tapping it in there. I love the blends I'm getting with these, with the wet on wet. Get those little areas. Okay, and I'm going to grab a bit darker red for a bit more shadow. And kind of start to put it on the underneath of some of these areas. And then right behind where it would be behind this tree. Like so. Okay. Like that. I really like that. That's pretty. Okay. I think that's good. Then I'm gonna let that dry. Actually, I want a little bit more darker red on top of some of these white spots. Like that. It would be a bit of a shadow. You see that? Okay. Then we're gonna let that one dry. I'm wondering if I should do one more. I feel like it needs another tree. Right? I feel like it needs another tree. Let's do another one. Just to kind of balance it out. Let's grab a little bit of yellow to start. Okay. And again, we're going to go behind this one. So I'm going to try and get in those little crevices where there's white space. And this one could be a little bit smaller, a little bit more bare. We can leave more white space. So like there's a bunch of leaves that have already fallen. Okay. Just trying to go around. Like that. I'm going to grab some more red. This one could be more on the red side too. Just to make it this center one stand out. Okay, and then grabbing my dark red. Maybe a little bit of green in there just to kind of darken the red a little bit more. And I'm just adding the darkness over those white spaces and then close to this tree because it would be casting a bit of a shadow. All right, like so. Okay, so let's let those tops dry and then we will be right back. Okay, this is why I love wet on wet. Look at those blends, they're so gorgeous. Okay, so now we're gonna do the tree trunks, and for this I would actually recommend using a size 2 because you're gonna get the finest lines, and I feel like a big part of what makes a tree look more realistic is the really fine branches. If a trunk and the branches look a little too thick, it just looks a bit more cartoony. So try and get a small brush and then we can kind of make it just a little bit more realistic looking. So I have my size 2. I'm gonna grab this sepia kind of brown, this dark brown here that I have in my palette, and I'm gonna let's start with this one. So I'm gonna come down like this, and I'm going to make it a little bit thicker towards the bottom, and then it's going to get thinner towards the top. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a straight line. You know, they're trees, they're not perfect. Okay, it's going to kind of come down a bit like this, and then it's going to get thinner as it goes up. So you can actually go kind of right up, and then you're going to start like skipping parts. So it looks like the tree is kind of like some of the leaves are over top of part of the branch and some of them are behind. So you can kind of have a branch kind of coming out this way through these white spots, but see what I mean about this, the thin branches? Make them a bit thicker as they meet like a trunk area, but then have these really tiny thin branches, and it just kind of makes it look a bit more realistic. Okay, and then through some of these white areas you're gonna do these tiny little branches peeking out. Some can overlap in front, some can kind of go behind. Okay, and it's just going to give the illusion that the branches are kind of going throughout the tree. But just try and make it as thin as possible. If you want an even smaller detailed brush, I'd go for it, if it feels easier to work with something smaller. Okay, I'm going to grab a bit more of that darker color, and I'm just going to add a bit more darkness to one side of the tree trunk, like that. And then I'm just going to wet up my brush, and I'm just going to kind of skim across the bottom here, just to create this ground, which we are going to kind of cover with some leaves, I think. Okay, so there's one. Let's do another. Okay, so maybe this one could be a slightly bigger tree trunk. But it's still going to make its way going thinner towards the top. And you can actually, hold on, that feels a little uneven to me. Like that. Let's kind of blend out the bottom here while it's still wet. Okay. I feel like this tree is a little lopsided. Okay, I'm going to kind of bring a branch kind of coming up this way to get some of these leaves. Like that. Kind of stagger it a bit. Have this one kind of coming up here. Like you're seeing little peaks of that initial tree trunk in there, but there's leaves over top, and then having the tiny little branch coming through some of those white spaces, make it really tiny. And then where these other like little holes are from where the other tree, you see the other tree leaves, you can do some of your branches there too. I feel like they're all kind of on an angle. That's the way I have my pad kind of down here. Just the thinnest little branches. You just do that with really, really light pressure with your brush. Okay? And then our last one here. Like so. Wash off my brush just a little bit and then blend out the bottom here. Like that. And then again, having some of these branches start down further. Make them a little thicker right where it's meeting the big trunk, and then it starts to go thinner. Have tiny ones kind of coming off, because you need some branches holding the tree, the leaves that we did over here. Okay? Okay, it's got to make sense. Maybe we can even do an extra one. You can have extra branches, maybe without some leaves, or we can add some extra little leaves afterwards. Okay, so it's going to kind of come up. See how perfect they are? I love them. Okay, and I'm just going to just do it a little bit darker down there. Okay, and then you can go back over some of these tree trunks. Just make some darker strokes just to kind of give them a bit more texture. Or you can even add white if you wanted to. Like if I have some of my bleed proof white here. Give them a little bit of highlight or just texture of color. You know what I mean? Just to make it look a bit interesting. Okay. Then, if you want to leave it like this, you totally can. I'm kind of curious, like if I take my smaller stroke brush, and then the parts where the branches have kind of cut off, like you don't really see the rest of the trunk, I wonder if we just do some kind of overlapping. Grab a little bit of brown. Overlapping with some extra leaves on top where some parts are cut out of the branch, just to kind of make it look like it's going somewhere, or there's leaves right on top of it, you know? It doesn't have to be a lot. I'm using my smaller stroke for this just to get some smaller, finer lines. Maybe a bit more red down here. See, I think I like that. I like that look. It also just helps it look a little bit more realistic. Getting a bit more darker red. I feel like it would be like the shadows. Okay, let's do the yellow one. I grab a little bit of orange, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of red. I don't want it too dark. Just over top of where those branches kind of cut out. So it looks like there's leaves kind of coming at us. Or, actually I should have probably gone around them. I don't know. No, this is fine. Just adding some of that extra texture there. You can even like dab your brush on your paper towel just to make it a little bit more dry, and just pick up some dry paint and kind of give it a little bit of texture like that if you wanted to. Totally up to you. We're just kind of experimenting here. Trying to go a little bit darker underneath some of these areas. I think it looks really cool. Okay, and then this last one, a bit darker of our red, mix it a little bit with green to make it darker. Just tapping it. And I think these are some of the most realistic trees that I've painted. Just takes a little bit of time and patience, but I really like it. And then finally, if you wanted to, you can add some of those leaves on the ground. Maybe falling from the sky. Just tapping. Start lighter maybe, or with a lighter color, and then create some darker ones on the ground after. Totally up to you. So pretty though. I love it. Oh, I totally put my hand in this trunk. That's okay. It makes sense why it's all over my paper. Mask it with some leaves. Right? And that's it. And there are our fall trees, like the perfect fall trees. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it, and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on all my other platforms for tons more content. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye!